We've been to some small towns before, but it doesn't get much smaller than Miller's Mills. They may be small in population, but they are grand in tradition.
Well, the community was settled in about 1790 by Andrew Miller and several of his sons who came here from Rensselaer County. And Andrew really was a miller, and he built the dam on the East Branch, what we now call the East Branch of the Unadilla River, and created a mill pond, built a grist mill, and later a sawmill. And those mills existed up until the 1950s. And originally it was called Miller's Settlement. And then over time, it took on the name of Miller's Mills. And people came from miles around to have their grain ground or to have logs sawed.
The water still flows over Miller's Dam. The mill pond it created still produces the ice that has been harvested here in Miller's Mills for over 200 years. The custom continues to this day with the annual ice harvest held every February. This year it will happen next Sunday, February 10th. Be sure to make the time to be a part of this tradition.
Let's see.
Nowadays, the ice on Little Lake Unadilla may be cut for social purposes, for the ice cream festival that'll be coming up this summer. But there was a time years ago when the ice served a very important purpose. It was hauled from there by horses down here to the ice house behind me, and it was in this ice house that milk could be preserved during the hot weather along with other perishables.
Every attempt is made to preserve the authenticity of an old-fashioned ice harvest. The only exception nowadays is that an antique gas-powered machine scores the ice before the actual event.
Well, my earliest memories of ice harvest were when we still used it commercially, just before we got electricity. And I can remember coming down here in our brand new 1941 Ford truck and backing under the elevator. It was parked over by that tree. The tree wasn't there then. And watching them load the ice from the pond onto the truck, and then taking the truck home and watching them unload. I think it must have been the last or second to last load that went in the ice house, because there was very little room left in there. And there were still horses and sleighs lined up to pick up ice. Nobody did it for the fun of it then. That was hard work, and it was done all winter long. We quit doing ice when we got a milk cooler and electricity in the house. And when I became a young teenager, they were doing it for the church, because the church had ice cream socials to raise money in the summertime. And we had an ice cream social about every month. And my nephew Hank and I came down, we ate up the ice cream and spent our money making ice cream. But we also, on Friday night, we turned the cranks. They conned all of us kids into turning the cranks to freeze the ice cream. And so I remember that. And by the time I was old enough to be of some use, I remember the ice harvest in the early 50s. To keep a tradition alive, something we've been doing for a long time, and to show people, something that we think it's important that the people that are alive today see, what people that came before us did. Not that we're doing it exactly as they did, but we're coming as close as we know how. And it's kind of hard to explain. It's something about who we are or what we are, and it's a feeling as much as it is. Sometimes it's really hard to put it into words, but it makes you feel like you're doing something worthwhile and just living history, I guess you could call
it. Next Sunday during the ice harvest, the Grange Hall will be open and warm and filled with homemade soups, chili, baked goods, and a historical exhibit about the ice harvest.
Well, the Grange started out as an agricultural type of organization, and as the organizations started to close down around the areas, we decided that we had to do something to keep ours alive. So in order to fundraisers, we've done the ice harvest and the ice cream social. It keeps ours alive.
You know what a feeling it is. So good to see are you at latitude 62.
If you would like to meet two gentle giants, you can come down here to the town of Columbia, or you can go to the Miller's Mills Ice Harvest, or on February 9th, you can go to Hotel Utica for an affair to remember, and you can meet, now which is which?
This is Jack.
This is Jacques,
And John.
and this is John, and they are absolutely the most beautiful creatures you can imagine.
As I travel the road, my heart begins to race. The thought of her just scares me away. I can see her home.
We have 9 right now, and Maren, she'll have a foal in another month. And they're Clydesdales, but they're what they call a roan. They're a light-colored Clyde, a lot of white on them. And we use them a lot for weddings and carriage rides, and we do show. Well, we enjoy the horses. We like to do a lot of work with them. We do a lot of logging, skidding firewood, maple syrup, and we like to show. So people don't get a chance to see work horses anymore and what they really used to do. Yeah, I had a horse-drawn manure spreader for 20 years. I just graduated to a tractor.
Now, what are the advantages of a horse over machinery? Why do you?
It always starts, and you don't have to buy fuel. And it's just a nice, easy way of life. We go to the Miller's Mills Ice Harvest and draw ice. We back down on the ice a little ways, and they put a ramp up. We'll load kegs of ice, depending on the winter, how thick they are, but they could weigh 250, put maybe 14 kegs on, could weigh 300 apiece. And we draw it up to the ice house, they unload it, and we give people rides back. Well, it's different, and a lot of people like horses, and it's very unique. It's very nice. It's pleasurable. They get to take a longer ride and get to spend a little more time with each other. Sometimes we bring the bride and her father to the wedding and take the groom and the bride afterwards for a nice quiet ride, and they get away from everybody before the reception. Because I love to drive horses, and I like people to see them and see how they really act. I've got my granddaughter with us, and she's been showing since she was 6, and she's been driving for 5 years, and she just finally learned how to ride a bicycle.
First comes first.
Yeah.
Can see. It's time for the Cooper Group's road trip. It's time for the Cooper